Greg, is that the Bushido Blade? Great! And with that, one of my favorite classical lines. I have been, when I travel, a lot of family stuff, this and that. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to do this, and I want to do it right. I'm doing it with my iPad, this new iPad my wife got me for the first time, and hopefully this will work. I gotta tell you, Greg, I know this name. I swear we know each other. I thought it was a prank or whatever, kidding around, because we did it in 1978, okay? I have never gotten a penny for it. It was on in New York on Channel 11, but the stories out of it, a lot of times people say, we could make a movie about making a movie. Well, my whole experience could probably be a 3-year series from the beginning of how I got Bushido Blade. I don't know, I better sign up for that Cameo of phone conversations or something. I really want to do this right for you. I'm trying now to do it with the iPad. I hope I don't screw this up. Listen, I played a character on The Office where I did an episode where I said, if it's not right, you send it back. So, we're going to try to do this. If it doesn't come out right, don't say, I didn't hear this, 3 stars, just, one person did one time. If it's not perfect, please send it back. Okay, where do I begin? All right. Request anecdotes, all right. The Notre Dame leprechaun mascot, that was funny. Actually, it's one of the things I think they got right was the wardrobe on Chief Bosun Cave Johnson. Strangely enough, an old friend of mine, and we've been writing together this and that, when we were visiting back east, and this and that, found my original script and gave it to me a few days ago, a couple of days after your request. So far, I'm pretty boring, I know. Let's see if this comes out. I don't know where to begin. Richard Boone, well, let's put it this way. He was such a great guy and did so many phenomenal things. You should look up his life. Very interesting, things I didn't know, but so good to us. He was only on there a week, and I spent every day in his room. We had my daughter. The things he did for my family. My daughter was 2 years old then. My wife came over. My wife wasn't even back in school yet, and forget about it. Years later went to med school. They said, this is crazy. There's so much to tell you. He was so kind, and he let me know he had throat cancer. How about that? And told me I'll never see a grandchild, because it turned out his son did finally have a boy, I believe, and but what we did was we named our son John Boone Starr. And then my brother nicknamed him Boonsky. On The Natural, which I clowned my way into, I'm not a baseball player, Barry Levinson asked me to come up with a name. So I threw a few names and I said Boonsky, and he said, how about Boone? And then Robert Redford later on said, what's your name in this, Mike? I told him Boonsky, and he put it in, and guys started saying my name, Boonsky, and Redford did there's a hospital scene, and he laughs at the end of it, and he said, we're immortalizing him, and that's how much we cared about Richard Boone. And then we went to Hawaii after Japan, and he took care of us there. Phenomenal human being. And what an interesting man, and the accomplishments, but the kindness. I just can't tell you enough about him. And I learned so much from him. Imagine it was like some class 7 nights, and the prices were crazy. There were 2 Marine extras that were stranded when we filmed, because there's I don't know how familiar you are with this in Japan, or different Marine bases and naval base, but we used a lot of at one point real Navy and Marine Corps, and he wound up taking them up to the hotel, and he did this big dinner. It was crazy, and drinking everything. He was so kind. Then sent them back to their base in a limo a couple hours away. And just classical. He was just the greatest guy. He's up there with my all-time favorites, not just as actors, but people. And he definitely, eventually, I should say, succumbed to cancer a few years later. But oh my God, he was a legend in Hawaii. Local people, everyone loved him, and him and his marlin fishing, which I was supposed to do with him. But which is another story. So to tell you about Richard Boone, that's enough about the filming, the locations. Can you imagine? We filmed at a place, the Nanaji Temple, and 40 years later, my wife, who's now a pediatric surgeon, an amazing human being, super compassionate, the opposite of me. She's humbled, centered, and quiet. And she gets everything done. She's amazing. Surprised me. We went to Kyoto, and through connections and friends of mine, brought me back to she had a conference in Kyoto, brought me back to the Nanaji Temple as a surprise where we filmed. And it was one of those places that said, you're the first film ever, I think. And I don't know how many people they told that to, if it was real. That with Tamba, you mentioned people you'd like to hear about, but Tamba Tetsuro Tamba, it can be personal last, or Chiba-san, Sonny Chiba. Great stories about them. And they were big stars in Japan. Sonny Chiba became a huge action star and highly respected, both of them. But Toshiro Mifune, I remember he must have come up to my chest. But we were filming one day and we were stuck. Rain. It was, I think, Toho Studios in Tokyo. And I'm just like, this big glom. I mean, I was like, they kept telling me to gain weight. Seriously. And my preparation for this was something else. And I remember the elevator opens, and I look, and it's Toshiro Mifune, and he goes, Dozo, please. And I just stood there in shock. I thought he was like 10 feet tall, and he came up to my waist. I was, strangely enough, a huge fan of Japanese films and him earlier, which was a whole other story. Never been on a horse in my life. They said you just have to sit on it. Ooh, it didn't work like that. And they said, well, we want you to look, it was because Commodore Perry's people, so we want you to look as different as possible in Japanese. So they dyed my hair red. And they sent me to this famous Vidal Sassoon, so Fifth Avenue. Mind you, I had moved back, when we got married, moved back into my old housing project, great place in Queens. And, struggling actor, had done some commercials, a lot of theater, had disappeared a couple of years beforehand out of everything, great stuff, good stories. Married in 75, and then 78, there I am with these characters. They hunted me down at a job I had. It's so funny how I got this job. I think they were trying to get famous people of the time, sports, Alex Karras, Marilyn Olsen, but they said, well, we're going to dye your hair red. So I go there. And they said, now make sure you tell them it's not going to look super bright red, but when you get there, it's going to get even lighter the more you have it in the sun, especially. And went back, and one of the producers said, nah, it's not red enough. Not red enough. I said, well, they said, nah, I don't care. They sent me back. They said, I'm warning you, and I got to tell you. They dyed it. And Richard Boone, when he saw me, says, I see this big guy in the orange hair, and with this orange head. And, oh my God, I know I'm talking so long here. I really want to make this right. I hope it records. If not, I'll redo it again. God, going down the hills, holding on. One time, Frank Converse said, they said they couldn't get me a stuntman. I read later on that the next big TV movie, how tough it was for them to deal with the horses. This horse we bonded later on, but the first couple of times, Frank Converse said, you don't need just get a sack of blue laundry with a red wig. You don't need a stuntman. And everybody was like gathering around, but there were things pulled not quite right. Everybody was just so good to me. I learned so much, making all the mistakes. This and that, we had to study for, it was crazy. So many in the prep. I had 6 weeks, and still, I think I kept working I had to work at this club, a rock club. I said, just, getting a family going. Here's the, whatever a New York actor does to support. And finally showed up there, and it was a little bit of surprise on the horses. I got so many stories. I remember I went back to this local bar in Queens, on Queens Boulevard. It's a classic place. And I must have talked for hours. And then we had our own premiere, and the characters that threw that at a guy's apartment. I really love the fact that you love this. I had someone from Poland send to my manager a poster of Bushido Blade, and I'm going to try to duplicate it. I don't know where I put it. I got to send it back and sign it. It was really tremendous experience. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I got to be with James Earl Jones, my idol, and it just every day was an adventure and a story and so many great things. And it was before karaoke was here in the States. I remember I went out with strangers. I went out, things I did, it was just classical, great fun and great times. Mako, oh my Lord. He was an artist. He was born in Kyoto, moved when he was 13 to the States. He's Sand Pebbles, you look up Mako. He took me to me and Frank Converse, I think one time met him at this real secret place, backroom place. He was just the greatest. He was a real street guy and a super artist in every way and a superhuman. Frank, geez, I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. God, I'd like to do more of this. That's why I've put this off. Well, I wasn't in the situation. I was watching grandchildren, this and that. We were doing this, and I had to go on that, and I couldn't do this quite right. Now, I hope it comes out right for you. I love that you said the Notre Dame. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Let me have some of my tea here. Oh, my God, that red hair, orange hair. And I had it for a while and then came back about 50 pounds heavy. I remember going back to this health spa I worked at, and they said, what the hell happened to you? And a friend of mine was training me. Wait, says, I didn't train you to do that. And they actually told me on the set, you're losing weight. What's going on? I said, oh, Christ. So, and it's been up and down since. No, but that was really funny. 81 when it came out, it was a lot lighter car. It's so funny. It says Bushido Blade 81. Greg, I love that you love it. There's a lot of really great people in it. And the writer was such a nice guy. And Arthur Rankin had been involved in, he had about 10 shows, I think, around Christmas that were, animation and whatnot. And the writer had done Steve Rope and Mike Noban. I wish I could find those things he did. He autographed cartoons. It was nice people. I mean, it was just, oh my, I look back at that. And I finally got to bring my wife Joanne and my daughter Cassie, the oldest one, was born. My son was born after the movie came out, and my youngest was born in 81. Now I have 6 grandchildren, telling you my life story here. But it was so great. I had gotten back to Japan only a couple times, but this one, Kyoto, oh my Lord. It really touched me when you said it. I really thought it was a prank. No one's asked me about Bushido Blade. And it's a sentimental favorite. There's so many interesting stories. And then I did my own research and learning. And, oh, God, we had the #1 netmaster drop the iron thing on my head and horses. And got to do the fights with Toshiro Mifune's stunt coordinator, fight coordinator. Was it Kuze-san? He was sensei. He was just, and the horse sensei, and they all looked out for me. They all wanted to help me. And then that sumo wrestling scene I had to do. I drank in those days. I was drinking, and we thought it was going to be canceled. I came with a hangover. I had this guy really went out. He was some big judo guy. We were slamming and hitting. It was fun though. Actually, it turned out I made so many friends over there. Someone actually came and visited me a couple of years later, and they just couldn't have been more gracious everywhere. Just, whose idea was to make you up like that? That's funny. Bushido Blade is cinema. Would love to hear. And I hope I've told you enough. Yeah, we got to go to Kobe, Tokyo. It was amazing. Places. It was like, I just had my oldest brother had been in the Marine Corps when I was a kid, and brought back all these books. Partially, he was in Japan for a while. It was a dream come true for me to be there. One day, trying to get a job, which has happened a lot in my career. Like, what am I going to do? A job? And here it goes. Here we are. And I wind up in Japan. Oh, boy. I'd love to tell you more stories. I hope this is good enough. I hope it'll go through. So I'm going to try to record this now. I wish you all the best. God bless, blessings. I just love the fact that you love this, because I have so many funny stories and jokes. People still tell me about that. Hey, Bushido Blade was on or something like that. Oh, hey, did you ever get it? Hey, it was a tremendous experience and a dream come true. I just wish I would have trained on horses more and would have just put all muscle on or whatever. Just and got to study with Stella Adler. They gave me someone, even a good guy, this and that, really accomplished teacher, but the famous Stella Adler teacher who I requested. There was a lot of things I didn't know about the business that some people involved got away with, but that's all right, you learn. And the actors couldn't be there, and Laura Gemza and her husband at the time, Gabriele Tinti, husband, when I say at the time, he was alive, and that was, the great times going out with these people. Bob Cardona was involved. Oh man, interesting, so many interesting. And Katani-san, a director. Oh boy. Is that the Bushido Blade? I was holding on for dear life when we rescue him, and then the ninjas are shooting on my horse. They go, oh wait, great. He goes, yeah, it is. Michael, would you say, is that the blade of Bushido? Oh, great. Is that the Bushido Blade? Great. So, riding along the beach, that was amazing. I think of things, that horse with the shootouts and everything in the town and all the 1860 buildings it was supposed to be like, or 1850s, I should say, around there. The poles were all at my neck. The style. Studios in Tokyo, Mifune Studios, Tohei Studios. Oh, legends. I was lucky, this dopey guy just hanging around with these people and to be there. Oh, I'd like another shot at that, trying to do that. Oh, well, I've been blessed to do a lot of things, and it's just beginning as far as I'm concerned. Greg, thank you so much. All blessings to you. All the best to you. I hope this was good enough. It's the longest one I've ever made, I think. I hope it goes through. God bless.